fantastic guest who will share his expertise and insights on the topic OBO decentralizing validators and distributed validator technology or DVT. We will tackle the fascinating world of blockchain, validators and DVT, and the remarkable OBO technology. So, buckle up, stay curious, and let's dive into the world of innovation. Here we go. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure to introduce to you our guest speaker today, Leo. Leo is a passionate crypto enthusiast who's been deeply involved in the world of blockchain since 2018, mind you guys. Not only that, but Leo is also serving as an OBO Network community admin. So we're in for a real treat as he shares his knowledge and insights with us. Welcome, Leo.
Thanks, guys. I'm super happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on. Yeah, it's my pleasure to come and share whatever bit of knowledge I can. Yeah, it's my pleasure to do so.
Awesome. How are you doing today so far?
Doing good, doing good. It's still the beginning of the afternoon here. I'm based in Brussels, in
Uh-huh.
Belgium. It's doing good. We have quite a lot going on now. I think
Yeah.
I'll have a chance to touch a bit on that later on in that webcast, sorry. But yeah, I'm doing good. Definitely good vibes going on and lots of energy at Orbol as we
Yeah.
are paving the way to mainnet.
Awesome. That's good to hear. I mean, I think everyone is already hungry for more learnings and information. So, which they could learn from today's episode. So I think we can start. Could you tell us a bit about your experience and when you first started exploring blockchain and distributed ledger technology?
Yeah, sure. I think actually my experience or background is actually quite common. So I've got involved in crypto for the first time in the beginning of 2018 or in December 2017. I don't remember exactly, to be honest. Just remember that it was the last bull run was coming to an end, and it was crazy times. The BTC, the Bitcoin, had just made a spike at $20,000, and everything was crazy. So I was still a student back in that time. I was in law school in college, and one of my friends actually told me about crypto, and it was like, "Look, man, it's interesting." Well, the projects he told me about basically do not exist anymore today. I remember it was project like Steam, Beaches, etc., etc. And so, as I was a student, I only saw at first a way to make a quick buck and to pay for some college parties and also for my studies in general. And so I wasn't that interested in the tech at first. And I kind of learned it the hard way, like most people did during the bear market of 2018 and 2019. I kind of lost most of the money I put in. Then I was disgusted. I left the market saying like, "Oh, this is a scam. I don't like it. Whatever." And I eventually came back in mid 2019 because more of my friends told me about the tech. And so I started really looking into it, not for the financial aspects, because I was disgusted. I didn't want to put any money in it no more. But I started to look into the tech, my values in terms of decentralization, giving back the power of decision and transparency to the people. And yeah, that's basically when I started to get more and more involved. And eventually it got me to the point where it took a huge place in my life. And I eventually made a full transition a bit more than a year ago and went to work full time in blockchain here at Obol, actually.
Awesome. Wow. Well, I'm just curious also because you mentioned earlier, way back 2018, you were a student. Were you really inclined into technology or what course did you take that time? Because some of the miners right now or people in the blockchain were not really from the technology kind of like niche, or they started like as a teacher or in the medical school and then they transitioned to technology kind of thing. So is that the same for
Yeah,
you?
exactly, definitely. So yeah, as I said, I was in law school studying the law at the time, so it's
Hmm.
really far from a tech type
Right.
of course. Then I moved on and went to study management. Again, not really technical, more like hostelry management. And
Mm.
I ended up doing a master in finance. So again, kind of related to crypto.
Yeah.
It kind of helped position myself around the whole crypto subject because I had like I had 2 points of view, like what I was taught at school and what I was learning on the side, which sometimes were conflicting, and so yeah, that actually helped me towards making my own perception of of the whole Web3 and crypto thing. But yeah, to answer your question, no, I don't have a technical background at start.
Hmm.
Uh, I learned most of it by myself. And now yeah I'm taking I have now a position as community admin, so it's more on the marketing growth side of things, but still involves and needs some technical knowledge in order to yeah to just get
Yeah.
how the space is working.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I also noticed. Anyways, during the process, since you've started in this industry since 2018, well, like how many years? Uh, were there any particular challenges or breakthroughs in your early experiences that time with blockchain that you'd like to tell us about? Like any breakthroughs or challenges you've experienced?
Yeah, I think that like the bear and the bull markets, the challenges that I faced, like at least when I wasn't working full time in crypto, actually come in cycle, like does the market. It's always kind of the same. When I started, if I wanted to like raise the topics by my parents or my relatives, my friends, most of the people were like, "Yeah, this is a scam. What the what the hell is that thing?" You know, and it's always kind of the same. People kind of behave the same every time, and then eventually the market will rise again. People we are gonna start talking more about Bitcoin, become bullish and very optimistic on the whole thing, and then whenever we enter the bear market again, people are always gonna um, yeah say that Bitcoin is a scam. So that was one of the challenge because it's hard to follow that passion, and it's hard to go into it in full time for a full time job, because basically most of my relatives still don't know what I do, and that's actually something that motivates me, that I want to help change that perception of the Web3 that people don't have, or of the wrong one that they have. Yeah, that's one of the challenges. The other would still be the lack of security, or if I may say, all the hacking and phishing problem that we have in the space, which are still, yeah, happening too much
Right.
and too often, I think.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I can actually relate because here in our area as well, like whenever I talk about blockchain or crypto or things like that, they they really have a bad perception or not really good perception about blockchain. So I can really relate to that, and it's difficult to explain because sometimes this kind of niche is kind of technical, so it's sometimes difficult to explain to people who are not really into technology. So yeah, definitely. Well, you mentioned earlier, you experienced there were definitely challenges, of course, and one of that is lack of security. In your opinion, regarding security, how has the blockchain industry evolved since you first started? What changes have you found most interesting so far?
Yeah, so when I started, I remember that the platform and projects building around security, like Ledger, for example, were only getting started. I think that now there are like more and more solutions to store and secure our private keys. but still there is no perfect. Sorry, I'm having sorry, a little problem. I think there's still no proper solution that solves it all. And I do think that the improvement of security is unfortunately always correlated with the improvement of hackers and the method and the phishing techniques and all kinds of wrongdoings. And so we still see lots of hacking everywhere in the space. However, I think if we zoom out a little, we can agree that this is not unique to crypto,
Yeah.
but whether it's something happening in all fields, especially tech fields. And,
Mhm.
and yeah, so I believe that the security aspect, or at least the perception that people who are not familiar with Bitcoin may have about security, is also correlated to the mass adoption of cryptocurrencies. And I believe that maturing regulation around the world will play kind of an essential role in this perception of security by the mass people.
Mhm.
I'm not one of those that reject all regulation. I think it's necessary.
Right.
Um, how we can, um, like, I think it's necessary, but it's often imperfect. And the technology can be sometimes very misunderstood by the very same people that are building the regulation. But
Yeah.
when the regulation is well done, I think that complying with the regulation often implies new security requirements and standards that will benefit everyone in the space. Um,
Right. I totally agree. Right. Regulation is really important, even if we are in the blockchain. Still, regulation is really important because, I mean, without regulation, we will not be able to achieve our purpose, right? And it's totally chaotic without regulations. Well, let's kind of zoom in a little bit. Given your background in the blockchain field, how have your experiences influenced your role as an OBOL network community admin? I know it's kind of, I mean, it's not an easy task. It's a community admin, right? That's a big thing.
yeah, I think in order to do that job, you need to really kind of get the room temperature of how things are going and how people are feeling in the space. So I think definitely the past experience, yeah, it do have an impact on the way I manage things now on a daily basis. Um, like as I just told you, I've been aware of the security risk in the space for a long time, and
Hmm.
so we and I are also making it a point of about protecting the community, whether it's by blocking contents on Discord or having higher requirements for account verification, because basically the goal here is to allow the community to have a nice space where they can exchange and in a safe and enjoyable environment. And so that's also why we developed a program of community moderators and ambassadors that are actively helping us in leading that mission. And yeah, I think that based of what I could observe over the past few years, I've realized that um, more even than in Web 2, the community is the foundation of Web 3
Hmm.
because basically it just embodies the very values of decentralization that we are trying to promote. And so always keep in mind that the community is a great source of information, but not only, also a great source of exchanges, opinions that we can also gather and rely on. And it's also, and yeah, and on a more like human perspective and level, it also brings us great like pleasure when a member of the community can achieve their personal goals thanks to us or partially thanks to us, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Especially you mentioned earlier, you and your team is about building, this kind of community, and that's actually beneficial because there's a lot of benefits of joining, a community. It 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 fosters learning new skills, finding new ideas, and able to share your own knowledge with the others. With the community, you're able to grow, and I think that's really important in today. Especially, we are trying to disseminate information, um, true information about blockchain and crypto. So I think that's a good platform that you're trying to build right now. Um, all right, maybe I think we can jump to our main topic right now. But first, let's discuss basic concepts and definitions so we can help our audience understand what really is a validator and also um, what is distributed validator technology. So, what exactly is a validator in the context of blockchain technology?
Yeah, so basically, a validator it's a quite simple thing, but
Mhm.
it's key in the whole blockchain technology, especially in the staking areas. Validator basically it's a participant in the network, and that participant is responsible for verifying and validating new transactions. Often, in many cases, that validator is also responsible for proposing new blocks that will add up to the chain. So the role and the function of a validator can be also vary depending on the specific consensus mechanism and the blockchain architecture. Um, and basically, I can dive into the whole consensus mechanism
Yeah.
thing after. But yeah, I think that's answer your question about the what a validator is.
So what I get from that is like because since this is like a validator, I would like to think like validators are kind of police officers in the blockchain. They kind of validate the transactions to maintain the security of the transactions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, they take charge and they take care of the operation in a
Oh,
blockchain networks.
I see.
Basically, yeah, it's up to them to make sure that to verify the transaction. So to make sure that that they haven't been like double spend, that they are authentic, and that they are like conforming to the rules of the blockchain protocol. They will also be able to, depending again on the consensus mechanism, but propose the new blocks that will be added to the chain. They also have this perspective in the framework, and they're also responsible for participating in the consensus. So the validators they actually play a key role whenever we need to achieve a consensus. In
Right.
most of the things, the validators are able to vote or participate in some manner at least to agree upon the next block or even validate specific transaction, which is the two primary tasks that the validators do. And
I
also, yeah, I would say finally that by having validators, um, the blockchain will ensure that there is no single point of control or of failure. And it actually help build this decentralized validation process, and that allows us to maintain the network to be a trust and secure one.
I see. Awesome. Well, that was a great overview of what validators are and their importance in the blockchain. And we are actually learning so far, I think. Well, now since we are able to establish what validators are or what validator is, in simple terms, could you help us or could you help our audience understand how distributed validator technology or what we call DVT fits into the picture of validators and what unique role it plays in the centralization and reliability of the network?
Yeah, so in order to get the full picture of that, I think I just need to touch a quick word about what the consensus mechanism is. So
Mhm.
the consensus mechanism is basically the method by which the nodes in the decentralized network, so in the blockchain here, will agree on the validity and the order of transaction. Like will agree and will determine the duties of the validators. Um, there are multiple types of consensus mechanism. There's the one that Bitcoin is using, the proof of work, And
Mhm.
the validators, who we also call miners, will try to solve some cryptographic puzzles to propose the new blocks. So it's basically based on computing power. And we also have the proof of stake, which is the consensus mechanism used in Ethereum. And there, the validator are chosen to propose and vote on the new blocks based on the number of coins that they have and that they hold. And that number of coins, if they're willing to stake it, basically to lock them up as collateral, um, then they will be able to participate in that process. And so the chances of validating a block of transaction are proportional to the stake of the validator. So that's what we are running now on Ethereum.
I
And
see.
so about DVT and how it can like fit into this whole picture,
Mhm.
um, I was thinking earlier about how to explain it in simple terms.
Mhm.
I did some research and I found an interesting metaphor that I thought was kind of useful. So you can basically imagine a classroom where students need to agree on an answer to a question without asking the teacher. And so, if everyone yells out an answer at the same time, it's chaotic and it's hard to determine the correct one. Instead, they need a system to agree on the answer. And this is
Mhm.
what we mean when we are talking about reaching consensus on the blockchain. So, in the blockchain, a validator is like a student chosen to propose an answer or check if the other's answers are correct. However, if you always let the same student answer, they might just become too powerful or influence the rest of the class. This is basically where distributed validator technology, so the thing that we are building in Obol, comes to play. Because instead of relying on a single or a few students, which are centralized, DVT ensure that the responsibility of answering and checking is spread across many students. That way, no single student become too dominant, and everybody's got a chance to participate. And so that help and towards a more balanced and trustworthy way. In a more concrete way, DVT allows multiple validators to act together as one by
I see.
regrouping them. And with that come a whole other set of benefits and advantages. Happy to dive into it a bit later on.
All right, awesome. Well, that's actually brilliant. So, based on your explanation, what I get from that is that it solves at least three issues right now in validation: the decentralization, the fault tolerance, and security. So, I kind of read a couple of articles about that. I think it's also fair for us to discuss individually the three things. So, in terms of decentralizing or decentralization, in a broader picture, how does DVT play a role in decentralizing a blockchain network? What are the benefits of having a distributed approach in this concept? I think it's also important to discuss this so that the beginners in or the newbies in from the community may be able to understand the benefit of DVT and how Obo Tech plays a role in decentralization.
Yeah. So it's kind of a big topic here, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
happy to dive into it. It's basically why Yobol was created in the first place, to try to tackle the Ethereum staking problem, which is now with the proof of stake consensus mechanism. A potential problem is actually to have too much centralization, and Obol is a way to address this. Like basically, the goal is to empower people to share the responsibility of running the network. So basically, how can I put this? By grouping the validators together, it will ensure that no single validator has too much power of or influence over the network. And actually, if you take like a deeper look into it, you'll see that it's also harder for a malicious actor to deceive the system, because
Mm-hmm.
if one validator becomes corrupted with DVT, the others can make up for it. They can compensate for it. And exactly the same thing if one of the validators goes down, the others can still attest and make up for the one that goes down. And yeah, that allows the fault tolerance in the whole DVT setup.
All right, I see. So I think that answers everything. I mean, the three of them, actually DVT is the solution for that, for decentralized, because if it is decentralized, then it will going to boost the security of the blockchain industry, of course, because it's decentralized, right? So the security is spread out, and also for the fault tolerance, it will be able to solve problems about fault tolerance, and I think that's the goal of DVT. Now that we know more about what is validator as well as DVT, I think it's also fair to discuss what Obo Tech is, since you're representing Obo Tech. Could you provide an introduction to Obo Tech and what it specializes within the blockchain space? Maybe you could give us a little history, or about the community, or how did it start?
Yeah, so basically, it started a few years ago. To be honest, I don't know all the exact dates because I wasn't there at the foundation. I joined 1 year ago. But basically, it was a worry that Oshin, one of the founders or CTO, had, because he noticed the potential danger that moving over to proof of stake could, like the potential danger that it could be for decentralization in the network. And so he started reflecting and writing on the matter, and basically published a few papers on the subject, and then got introduced to Colin Myers, which is our CTO, CEO, and other co-founders. And together they founded Obol Labs a bit more than 2 years ago, I think, maybe three. I would need to check on that. And
Yeah.
yeah, so they founded that, and the goal was basically to help and tackle that problem. And eventually, as we tried to build the solution, we noticed that it can also benefit lots of other problems in the staking, or lots of other staking entities.
Mm-hmm.
And what we are building is actually some middleware client called Caron that allows us to implement the distributed validator technology. Um, and so, yeah, as we said, it will help to improve the decentralization in the network. Um, but yeah, it can also lower the barriers at an entry level for the people that want to stake. Like in
Mm-hmm.
a deep browser, no one has access to the entirety of the private key set. So there's a trustless setup that will prevent risk, such as someone running off with all the funds. It can also open the door to possibilities like separating who owns the stake from who runs the stake. A good example is one of the initiatives that we launched recently in the community, with the community and some other partners like Itofi and Dapnode. And so basically, the people in the community were provided a machine to run the nodes at home, and we would provide the DVT technology.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dapnode would provide the machine, and Itofi was providing the capital. And so basically, it could improve the decentralization of the network because at-home validators had an easy way to stake at home with the DVT technology, with someone else's funds, and all that in a trustless setup and secure way. So that's one of the huge benefits that we had.
I
Also, yeah,
see.
internally we are developing some other features. We're also still developing our launchpad, which we are constantly improving in order to try to to improve the user experience and for to make it become increasingly pleasant and simplified for the user. Because we are confident that one day it will be super easy and everyone will be able to stake easily with DVT.
I see. All right. Well, and in the tech industry, of course, upgrades and improvements are part of the process, right? Could you give us an update on the status quo of Obo Tech in the industry? We've heard that you have version 1 and version 2. Before the version 1, it's kind of more of middleware, but now version 2 is more of the protocol itself. Can you give us more insights about that?
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing to what I said previously, if that's okay.
Oh, sure.
Which I think is very big because which touched a little on the fault tolerance, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to emphasize on that. It's actually super important. DVT can basically we trended it a little with a hashtag a few months ago. Basically, can allow you to basically stake and sleep. Because indeed it allows you to switch from an active passive setup to an active setup. So what basically happens in staking is people will set up two validator setup, um, so that if one goes down, the others will go up and start attesting to make up for the one that has failed. The problem with that is often your primary validator and the backup will end up online at the same time and like double sign something. And that means that you have one validator key that is running in both places. And from the network's perspective, this is seen as misbehaving and it will result into slashing. The network will punish you for it. DVT, on the other hand, will enable a new kind of validator, one that is able to run across multiple machines and clients simultaneously, but will behave, as we said, as a single validator on the network, like from the network perspective. And this enables the validator to stay online, even if a subset of the machine fails, and that is called the active fault tolerance setup. Like you can think of it like engines on a plane. They all work together to fly the plane, but if one fails, the plane isn't doomed. It makes it a bit harder, but the plane isn't doomed. There's still a way to to keep on flying, you know. So yeah, I just wanted to explain a bit more on that quickly. And your question was the status quo on Obol now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Status quo of mobile technology in the industry right now. What kind of milestones or developments you've been working on, right?
Yeah. So I'm not the best suited to go deep in the technical aspect of the project, like the super technical aspects.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to tell you again another time with maybe someone from the technical team. But from I can tell you, we've been recently we've closed the alpha mainnet phase, which we run with 45 orgs and entities that took part in this phase, and actually run on mainnet, the Obol DVT DV technology. And so we also had some at-home stakers that participated through solo staking initiative, like the one I mentioned with the machine that they receive at home. And then what actually was super interesting is that the alpha mainnet and the enterprise testing that we did around it showed us that distributed validator are indeed super competitive with general metrics such as the uptime or the effectiveness. And actually, they showed some metrics equal or even above the network average. So definitely super, it's super encouraging on that aspect. And now we are officially on the way to full mainnet and Obol V1. And so for the community and the at-home and solo stakers, Along with that will come some opportunities to run on mainnet, not only for the enterprises but also for the individual. I don't have a precise date to share with you now, but things are coming fast. It's really great. We're actually on the road to mainnet now.
Awesome, excellent. That's actually a great feat already. Also, I just want to be more specific so we kind of funnel down the market that we're trying to reach out here. Aside from the stakers, who benefits from Obo Tech? Who is its target users?
Yeah. Um, so basically, it can benefit the whole staking ecosystem, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, because there's a wide range of application. It comes from the um, from the at-home stakers to the liquid staking providers, or even the digital assets custodians. Because, as I said, with the trustless trustless setup, people can actually make up clusters with others, and people at home can rely on others if the node goes down. It's also a good way for at-home validators to onboard new joiners with less experience because, again, of the fault tolerance. So if one of the beginners node goes down, the others can, like the people in the cluster, can help one another. So that basically helps promoting the decentralization. I don't have the link right now, but I came around an interesting blog piece a few weeks ago
Mhm.
saying that there were only between 6 to 12% of solo stakers on the network as of now. So DVT could be a nice way for them to get more involved and try to also tackle that centralization problem. Also for the bigger entities and staking providers and orgs working in that aspect, they actually help because DV can provide this active setup,
Mhm.
which is actually more secure. Even if they run the node within the company, it still is a bit better for the decentralization, but much better in terms of fault tolerance and resiliency of the node.
Awesome. Well, actually, the active setup is actually a good feature. Good job on that. I just noticed something you mentioned earlier, slashing. For the benefit of those, I mean, for the benefit of our audience who doesn't know about it, if you could enlighten us a bit about what slashing is and how Obo Tech addresses that.
Yeah, so basically slashing it is the punishment when you get slashed. It's the punishment done by the network when it will detect you or think that you are misbehaving on the network. That can happen from a multiple set of reasons. Basically, it can be as simple as you are not attesting because your node is down.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so the chain is like, okay, this validators is not helping the chain. It's actually is slowing it down. And so you can get slashed. And slashed will be to have like less rewards in terms of ease that you generate when you stake. You are actually incentivized into putting your Ethereum to stake because you are rewarded with a small portion of ETH. I think it's now around 4% annually on APR. And so basically, if the node is down, the network will say that you are behaving badly and will take a cut of the rewards that you were meant to receive, or even you won't get any rewards. And in the worst case scenarios, you can lose your stake. As simple as that. The network, the Ethereum that you put as collateral. So with the DVT, as there is this fault tolerance feature, if one of the nodes in the whole cluster, so the group of operators goes down, it actually won't prevent the whole cluster to keep on attesting on the network, as long as we have still a threshold of people attesting. So that's one of the slashing risk that DVT can help prevent. Another one would be again for the active setup. As I explained before, when you have an active passive setup, which is the common way to do things until now, if it is wrongly set up, and it's hard to set up actually, you will end up someday having both the main validators and the backup one attesting with the same key on the network, and that the Ethereum blockchain will see it as an attack and will punish you for it. And now we do have an active setup,
Mhm.
and that basically prevents that slashing risk again.
I see. Wow, slashing is really scary. I mean, it's frightening, especially sometimes you really don't have control over external factors like a connection, some sort of those kind of thing. Um, but it's really a good thing that Obo is addressing that. Obo is helping a lot in terms of like mitigating those those scenarios for especially for those takers and validators. I love that. Well, we also heard that Obel is exploring. I think this, we are really excited about this one, especially in the Cosmos, Cosmos environment. We heard that Obel is exploring and doing some research into implementing DVT in Cosmos blockchain. Can you tell us some details about that, if you may?
Yeah, sure. So first off, I'd just like to say that it's a research effort for us, so we don't have any concrete outcomes or production yet.
Mhm.
But that being said, yeah, we do believe in the long-term potential of the Cosmos ecosystem. As I explained earlier a little, there are multiple types of consensus mechanism, and we think that the tech that we are developing, distributed validators, can benefit actually the proof of stake as a whole, and that includes the Cosmos ecosystem. So we do see Cosmos as super promising, but they have some issues in the validators hub. Like we've noticed that there is a massive concentration of stake in Cosmos. If
Mhm.
you take like the 10 first validators in the Cosmos validators set, you will notice that they have a huge portion of all the stake and therefore of all the voting power. And that leads again to centralization risks, especially given and which is great, but given the involvement that the validator have in Cosmos, as it is like some kind of governance focused ecosystem. And so, yeah, the validators are super active in governance and voting, and so especially given that there is a centralization risk in Cosmos, and we are confident that DBT could help counter that.
I see. Well, research is really important, right? And I think um, that is really crucial in term before before we launch something, before we launch a product. But are you seeing this in a year or two, or
Uh,
no, not in particular for now?
no, I don't have any particular timeline to share with you now. We do want to put some effort into it, but now the primary focus is on launching Obol on mainnet and the V1 version of Obol. But yeah, it is one of the things that we are exploring most.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing those insights. Actually, that was really wonderful and enlightening. Well, everything in the discussion was super exciting and enlightening, and it's really exciting to see how Obol technology is making a valuable contribution to the blockchain industry. And we're actually thrilled to learn more about the impact you guys are making. We're actually nearing to the end of our discussion now. I think we're almost 50 minutes now in our webcast. Um, for those interested in learning more about Obol Tech, where can they find more information and how can they reach you out, guys?
Yeah, always happy to advertise a little for Obol. So yeah, you can definitely find us on Twitter. There's like the at Obol Network, as simple as that. But also, what I would advise is to have a look to our website, obol.tech, because there you will find all the blog posts, the latest updates, but yeah, also all the links actually to all the socials, to Discord, to Twitter. So feel free to come visit. Feel free to come and ask any question, even reach us on Twitter. But the best way would be to join our Discord and ask anything in the chat, or even reach out to me in DM to you guys.
Yeah, I see. Oh, would you like to promote also your social platforms, or maybe maybe you have upcoming events or public exposures in case anyone from the audience wants to reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. So as I said, you can always reach out to us on Twitter. If some of you are interested, we actually are hosting a Twitter space at the end of this week on Friday. It's at 7:30 p.m. UTC. I'll be the host of that one. And yeah, basically we are hosting a podcast with our friends from A41, Everstake, Asterium, and Foundation Cloud. Also, we might be in Istanbul for the Dev Connect, but we are still reviewing options. We are basically just monitoring the conflict in Israel in case if it expands. We should go, but we never know. As yeah, we just keep track of this whole situation there. Lots of support to all the people involved in that conflict. But yeah, we'll keep you posted on the socials if we are lucky enough to make it.
Awesome. We support you guys with that. Guys, Opal Tech is really very active. It really shows how they are dedicated with their work and efforts in creating a safe space in the blockchain industry. Now, to wrap up this webcast, we would like to thank you, Leo, for joining us today. Of course, it is such an
Bye.
honor and pleasure to have you here. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
All
really
right.
my pleasure, guys. Happy even to come by another time to share any updates or dive a bit deeper into some aspects of Obol. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a real pleasure. Thanks for hosting.
Yeah, we are actually looking forward to the updates and the upcoming, yeah, especially the research that you talked about earlier. Also, thank you all for joining us on this fantastic webcast journey today. We've explored the exciting world of blockchain, validators, and the remarkable OBO technology. We hope you've learned, discovered, and found inspiration in our discussion. And remember, the path to knowledge and innovation is a continuous one. So stay curious and keep exploring. If you're passionate about blockchain and decentralized finance, consider joining the Davao DeFi community on Facebook. And you can also find a vibrant community of like minded enthusiasts there. And for more information, of course, again, visit our website, davaodefi.org, to stay updated with the latest in the DeFi world. And also feel free to visit Obo's website at obo.tech to dig deeper into their offerings and their updates, of course. Keep an eye out of our future webcast. Until next time, stay engaged and keep learning and keep innovating. Goodbye and take care all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Leo.